Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with best-selling author Dan Pink. Just point out for those people who are salespeople and that's their job and they either love it or they hate it, but let's talk about some of the things that are less obvious that they're doing wrong. That maybe they think, I am a great person, I am a great salesperson, I'm always closing, but let's identify some of the other things that may be more subtle that they can improve on right away.
That they can improve on? Okay,
yeah, so what are they doing wrong?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person, obviously, but let's talk, some of the things they can do better are this. Let's talk about something at the very, very mundane. Let me give you something at the very, very tactical level. Listening. People don't know how to listen.
Right.
And it's not their fault. In school, we learn how to read, we learn how to write. Nobody teaches us how to listen. We have ears, so that allows us to hear, but no one ever teaches us how to listen. It's as if human beings emerge from the womb able to do this complex thing called listening. So one very, very small thing that people can do to get better at listening, which is something I learned in researching the book, is to just every once in a while, or at certain points, when someone says something to you, just wait a couple of seconds before responding.
Right.
Just wait.
So why don't you think people are good at listening? I mean, what's the fundamental problem? Are they thinking about what they want to say while the other person is talking?
I think that a lot of, especially men, I think more males than females, are just basically they're not listening because they're preparing their next comment.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that, again, it goes back to the idea that no one ever taught them how to do it. So they're not even, it's not something that they readily can do. If you go to someone and say, hi, go hit a curveball, they could probably use a little instruction on that before they do it. Now you can put somebody and hit a curveball and eventually they're going to do it probably okay. But if they had a little instruction, they would do it more than okay. And so to me, it's analogous to that.
Gotcha.
There are other things that people can do. I mean, small tactical things that people can do.
Yeah.
One of the qualities that matters most today is this quality of attunement, and that's understanding someone's perspective. Can you understand someone's perspective? See the world through their eyes.
Yeah.
All kinds of things you can do in that.
That's a lot of empathy, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting. It's sort of it's a fraternal twin of empathy, and this is actually a really important point that you identified here. Is that perspective taking is what social psychologists call this, and it's obviously the ability to take someone's perspective. It's not quite like empathy. Let me give you an interesting study that demonstrates this, because it helped me understand this a little bit better.
Okay.
So, a group of people sent into a negotiation, a study about a negotiation. So they send people into a negotiation setting to negotiate the sale of a gasoline station. It's one of the sort of classic packages of negotiation experiments. And so half the people, they say, go into this negotiation, focus on what the other side is thinking. Go into this negotiation, focus on the other side's interests. Second group has a slightly different set of instructions. They have the same material, same facts. Focus on what the other side is feeling, focus on the other side's emotions. So one side is focus on their thinking and their interests, the other side, their feelings and their emotions.
So it's figuring out what moves the needle, like what they care about.
And which side does better? The ones focused on the thinking or the ones focused on the emotions?
I'm going to guess feeling.
Thinking.
Oh, really?
Exactly. That's what's interesting about it. So it's not quite like empathy. It actually is a little bit more muscular than that. It's a more kind of, and this was a surprise to me, it's more of a analytic, cognitive kind of skill. And so this isn't going to hurt you thinking about their emotions at all. It's going to give you other kinds of information. But essentially you should use your head at least as much as your heart in doing these kinds of things.
So is it about, in classical, debate kind of style, you're sort of already diffusing what they're probably thinking. You don't know for sure, but like you sort of offer it up there like this, I know that you're probably thinking this, and therefore we've already addressed that. But what we really want to present is something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Sometimes it's really just understanding. It's like what's going to make your life better.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah.
And so if I listen and I try to see the world through your eyes, I become much better. I become much more effective in helping us move to something that is valuable for both of us.
So it's like marketing, where you're trying to find pain points and solve those pain points.
It's some of that. It's some of that. I mean, that goes. There's another principle that I talk about. I talk about the new ABCs: attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. Clarity is, I think, akin to that, because now there is a premium on less on problem solving as a skill and more on problem finding. It goes back to what you were saying earlier. If customers know precisely what their problem is, they can find the answer. They can find the solution. Where you're more valuable is if they don't know what their problem is, or they're wrong about their problem, and you can identify a problem they don't realize that they have, or you can look down the road and say, here's a problem that you're going to confront, better get ready for it right now. Problem solving, see, this is interesting because it's sort of, it sort of balances out the other one.
Yeah.
Problem solving is very much a kind of analytic skill. Problem finding is a much more creative and conceptual skill.
Interesting. So how do you develop these skills? And I mean, there's no classes to take from being a better listener. Your book is probably a great start, but what else can you offer as
there's so many. There's a lot of really small, interesting things that everybody can do.
Okay.
And actually, the book, one of the things, I actually architected this book in a particular way for that very reason. So what I've done is started the book by making an argument. We're all in sales now, but sales isn't what it used to be. Okay. So now what do we do about it? So there are 3 qualities: attunement, buoyancy, and clarity, and then 3 particular tactical abilities: to pitch, to improvise, and to serve. And so for each of those things, I look at the social science telling us, what does the social science tell us about attuning ourselves? What does the social science tell us about clarity and buoyancy, which is basically staying afloat in an ocean of rejection? And then,
I love that metaphor, by the way.
So along with like the science, it's like science tells, here's what we learned about attunement. Each chapter has some exercises and tools, and lots of exercises and tools and tips to help you get better at this kind of thing.
Give me a simple term for the word attunement. Give me a synonym.
Perspective taking.
Okay.
Seeing the world through someone else's eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really what it is. And
Okay.
but it's sort of, but what's so interesting, it's a fascinating topic because it has so many different dimensions. It's very much a full-fledged human capability. So it has, as we mentioned before, that cognitive side, which is really powerful. It has, in some ways, a social side too, because the research shows very clearly that people who feel a sense of power, people who feel greater status, are terrible at this. That there's an inverse relationship between power and perspective taking.
Is that because they feel like they're giving up power when they do it?
Probably.
To someone else?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
They tend to be very anchored in their own positions.
Right.
They tend to want to reinforce that power, which is sort of another way of putting what you just said. And they go awry because of that. It's why people don't like their boss. Some people don't like their bosses. It's why some people don't like their teachers. And
so this has many applications. This is like a behavioral science book as well, where
oh, sure, yeah.
It crosses over anger management and people skills.
It's basically because there isn't if this argument, if the catalyzing argument is right, or let's just say it's more right than wrong. All of us are in some form of sales now, like it or not.
Yeah.
But sales isn't what it used to be because of information asymmetry. Then what do you do about it? And the thing is, you can go to classics, the typical sales books, most of which are not very good, or you can. So I say, let's go to the social science, but it isn't as if there's somebody out there studying the social science of sales. Right. It's scattered all over the place. But the behavioral science gives us some clues, some really powerful clues about how to do these things a little bit better.